Madam Speaker, good morning. I wish to seek your permission that before I proceed, I wish to recognize the presence in this House today of Baroness Patricia Scotland, King's Counsel, but also Secretary General of our Commonwealth. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I know there are many other delegates, but a distinguished visitor like that needs to be recognized appropriately. Madam Speaker, I beg to move. As I said, good morning. We are delighted to join you and this august House today to report on progress made in the application of our national values and principles. This is in accordance with Article 9(2) of the Constitution of the Republic of Zambia. Before we proceed, Madam Speaker, allow me to take this opportunity to pay tribute to an African icon, Pan-Africanist, freedom fighter, and Namibia's founding president, Dr. Sam Nujoma. Madam Speaker, with your permission, I seek that you join me, the House joins me, in a moment of silence to honor President Nujoma. Thank you. Madam Speaker, we wish to take this opportunity to congratulate the three newly elected members of Parliament, Honorable Nason Musonda for Kawambwa Central. For Kawambwa Central constituency, Honorable Justin Kapema for Pambashe constituency, and Honorable Simon Banda for Petauke Central in the eastern province of our beloved country, Zambia. Madam Speaker, the Constitution under Article 8 outlines the national values and principles as follows: morality and ethics. Number 1, 2, patriotism and national unity. Number 3, democracy and constitutionalism. 4, human dignity, equity, social justice, equality, and non-discrimination. 5, good governance and integrity. And lastly, 6, sustainable development. Madam Speaker, our national values and principles are essential in guiding our behavior as a people in the nation. Very important, Madam Speaker. We like to thank the Zambian people for their resilience in 2024. We all know what afflicted us in 2024, the West drought in living memory. Our values and principles were tested during this period. In the midst of the West drought, as I said, in living memory, therefore, we are looking forward to a better future post-2024. We're in 2025 now. Madam Speaker, we will now proceed to report on the progress made in the application of our national values and principles. Morality and ethics. Madam Speaker, to promote a morally upright and ethical nation, we are addressing social issues in our communities. Among them, alcohol and substance abuse, child marriage, teenage pregnancy, gender-based violence, and cyber crimes, including bullying. To tackle alcohol and substance abuse, especially by our youth, the government, your government, is working with various stakeholders in sensitizing nearly progress we achieved, nearly 4 million citizens countrywide in the period past. We thank our traditional leaders, the church, civil society organizations, lending institutions, and media houses for participating in the sensitization programs. Madam Speaker, government provided counseling and rehabilitation services to victims of alcohol and substance abuse. Further, 4,728 individuals involved in the production and trafficking of illicit drugs were arrested in 2024. Quite a big number. We urge our fellow citizens, especially the youth, to desist from alcohol and substance abuse. As government, we will continue working with all stakeholders across the country in building a society free of alcohol and substance abuse. Madam Speaker, we have continued to address child marriage and teenager pregnancy by successfully withdrawing our girls from early marriages as much as possible, an illegal practice we condemn strongly. We keep readmitting our girls into school after giving birth, a very important development, Madam Speaker. Before a girl got pregnant, she was out of school permanently, not anymore. Once they've raised their children, we bring them back to school. That's very important. The progress recorded is attributable to a continuous sensitization of communities on dangers of child marriage and teenager pregnancy. Additionally, change of the law where necessary on the age of marriage and bursaries under the Enhanced Constituency Development Fund, Madam Speaker, have all contributed to keeping our girls in school. Madam Speaker, cases of gender-based violence in the country remain high. These are lives affected, dreams shattered, voices silenced. Therefore, government is implementing the National Gender Policy and strengthening the enforcement of anti-gender-based violence, GBV. To reduce instances of the vice, we have also continued to support victims of GBV through provision of counseling services, legal aid, and indeed providing what we are calling safe spaces in the communities. A multi-sectoral approach to fight GBV is key. We implore family members. Family is the first line of defense in helping our girls to grow up in a good environment. So we implore families, family members, neighbors, church members, workmates, and the community at large to take the fight against GBV seriously. All cases of GBV must be reported to law enforcement agencies so that perpetrators are brought to book, Madam Chair. Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, government is concerned with the growing incidence of cyber crimes and bullying, a new form of violence, no question about it, especially against women and girls. Additionally, we are concerned on the escalation and sophistication of scammers using mobile money services. We are therefore reinforcing measures to combat this abuse. More will be done this year and going forward in this area. In consultation with the relevant stakeholders, we are creating a safer online environment by strengthening legislation on cybersecurity and indeed cyber crimes. We will not relent in our effort to restore sanity in the digital space. It is for our own good. It's for the good of society. It's for the good of morality and ethics. It is for the good of stability of our country. No question about it. Patriotism and national unity. Madam Speaker, patriotism and national unity play a pivotal role in shaping our society and nurturing a strong nation. These are key factors in fostering national development, which help us achieve our collective aspirations as a people. The importance of respect for our national symbols, Madam Speaker, in entrenching patriotism and national unity cannot be overemphasized. We have the national flag, we have the coat of arms, the national anthem, the national motto, and the public seal. These, Madam Speaker, are symbols that represent our country's heritage, endowment, and truly our identity. We urge all our citizens to continue respecting our national symbols without exception, all of us, as they represent our unique identity and solidarity as a people. We must be devoted, loyal, and proud of being Zambian. These characteristics of patriotism must be inculcated in every Zambian at an early age. Again, the family comes in here. Those of us who are fathers and mothers, we have a rare responsibility to raise dignified citizens. It's a duty. Madam Speaker, as patriotic citizens, we all have a duty to take care of our public and private properties. I repeat, we must all take care at an individual level, properties, public or private. Unfortunately, vandalism and theft of public property has continued, making this negative trend a growing menace in our communities. In 2024, a higher number of cases of vandalism were reported. To this effect, government is working on legislation to stiffen punishment for perpetrators of vandalism and theft of public and private property. Property rights must be respected. They are part of who we are. Community without property is worthless. We urge all citizens to be patriotic. Citizens should refrain from and report acts of vandalism and theft of public and private assets, and sabotage to law enforcement agencies. You know what I mean. The House knows what I mean. Sometimes we ignore law enforcement agencies and treat them badly. That is negative behavior as well. To the security wings, we are confident that you will remain vigilant in the fight against vandalism in our country. The growing trend of land encroachment, illegal land occupation, particularly on private property, public property, and the illegal allocation of land is a serious concern, Madam Speaker, that this government is actively addressing and will do so definitively. This unlawful practice is unacceptable, and the government will take necessary steps to put an end to this. No segregation, no special rights to any. We are all supposed to obligate ourselves to the laws, applicable laws. Very important. We urge citizens to apply for land through legal channels to avoid the risk of having illegally acquired land repossessed. We are equally concerned, Madam Speaker, about the increasing number of citizens that are borrowing loans from CDF and CEC with intentions of never to pay back. This is contributing to the stagnated growth of these facilities, whose intended objective is to create revolving funds. And if some borrow and don't pay, you are shrinking this fund, you are denying opportunities to other deserving citizens to access these funds. Not acceptable. Madam Speaker, one of the attributes of patriotism is the willingness to sacrifice for the greater good of our nation. This is what we see in our citizens, a good number of our citizens who continue to embrace volunteering as an integral part of our culture and tradition. Madam Speaker, this is commendable. The volunteers have been providing critical support to vulnerable groups and are participating in building community infrastructure. This is a clear demonstration of our people's resolve, a good number of them, to uphold the values of patriotism and national unity. We thank the volunteers, in particular, health workers, teachers, ward development committees, those who work in those committees, community welfare assistance committees, neighborhood health committees, religious institutions who are doing a great job, constituents development fund committees, and many other volunteers in the country. Madam Speaker, these are the unsung heroes of our communities and are away from public glare, but yet they continue to shape our nation to greatness. We thank all of them without reservation. We applaud our sportsmen and women for the great sense of duty, patriotism, and pride that they exhibit when representing our country in various sports disciplines. We notice that they have coined Zambia Kuchalo. They've coined this slogan, meaning Zambia to the world. From Zambia to the world. Great indeed. Minister of Sports, well done. Madam Speaker, this is the spirit we should all emulate as we represent our country in many other disciplines, including in this House. We must remember that we owe it to the community, to all our people, to conduct ourselves, to provide services in an exemplary manner at all times, in private or public environments. We should always be upright. Madam Speaker, as patriotic citizens, we must continue to promote the production and consumption of local products and local services. Consumption of local products and local services must become a habit by all of us in the nation. And you know what that means. Promotes growth of the economy, create jobs, and many other things. Your government will continue to favor purchase of Zambian produced goods and services through, and strongly so, positive discrimination in the procurement process. Proudly so. Our government stands unwavering in its commitment to building a thriving national economy, one that does more than just grow numbers, but changes lives, puts food on the table for our families, and secures a brighter future for every household, not some, but every household. This is not a one-time event. This is not a situation, singular situation. It's a continuous mission. It's a journey that calls upon every citizen to play their part. And they should do so with determination and indeed pride at all times. Attitude matters in life. When your attitude, your mindset is right, you get things done properly. If you are negative, things don't work. Simple. From the farmers tilling our rich soils in Mpika, to the fishermen casting their nets in Mongo, from the tireless marketeers in Soweto Market, to the innovative entrepreneurs in Chiwempala, from the skilled carpenters and welders of Kalingalinga, to the resilient workers of Katete and Mansa. This is our collective fight, Madam Speaker. Growth of a strong economy is not the responsibility of one individual, nor by government alone, but by the sweat, ambition, and unity of an entire nation including the private sector, Madam Speaker. We must dream big. I must say so. We must dream big and work even harder. The government will continue to do its part in fostering unity, maintaining peace, security, and stability, tackling legacy debt, and creating an environment where businesses can thrive. Madam Speaker, I want to make emphasis here. There's a wrong perception that when we talk of business thriving, we talk about foreign business. We mean individuals who run chicken runs, who run small gardens. These are business people, and they are citizens of Zambia. They too are included, Madam Speaker. But this success will not be handed to us, Madam Speaker. It must be earned. We must rise, push forward, and embrace the work that will make Zambia strong, independent, and prosperous. When we achieve this, Madam Speaker, our country will prosper, create opportunities and jobs, and indeed treasury income, and obviously a brighter future that Zambians can be proud of. That's how it works, Madam Speaker. Our destiny, ingenuity, is in our hands. Let's work, and more hard and smart work is what we need. Together, we will build a Zambia that our children will be proud of. And as they inherit, they will remember us. They shall remember us that they were people who set the pace for them to achieve what they would be achieving in future. We should all be thinking ahead and be proud in advance of what we are capable of creating for our children and their grandchildren. Madam Speaker, it is pleasing to note that a growing number of companies have registered to use the proudly Zambian campaign logo. We welcome the increasing levels of patriotism among the business community and urge more companies to come on board. We are delighted that our people are appreciating our rich tourism products. Accordingly, we relaunched our local tourism campaign dubbed Take a Holiday, Yamuloko. As at November 2024, Madam Speaker, the number of local tourists that visited our national heritage site, national parks, and museums doubled from 184,945 in 2023 to 326,929. This is phenomenal. Congratulations, Tourism Minister. Madam Speaker, an additional demonstration of patriotism is paying off taxes. Paying taxes is not just a moral or legal requirement, but an essential element to fund public services such as desks for our school children and medicines for the sick in our hospitals. That's what it means. To enhance tax compliance, government introduced the smart invoicing system late last year. We have also continued to implement various initiatives aimed at simplifying tax processes and making payments more efficient, easier, more efficient. The tax system has been interfaced with the various standalone online platforms on the government service bus. We are also implementing taxpayers' education programs to enhance compliance. We thank tax-compliant citizens, and we encourage those that are not yet in that category to join the rest. Indeed, companies, we thank them as well for the important contribution they make, and we urge all of our citizens to always adhere to tax laws and regulations. Minister of Finance and your team, thank you very much. Madam Speaker, national unity is critical to our country's existence, peace and prosperity. It fosters citizen participation in national affairs and provides a sense of belonging in their own country. We have created a conducive environment for our people to freely interact and participate in social and national events, regardless of their persuasions, religion, ethnicity, anything else, call it. All of our people now are mingling freely, anywhere, unlike ever before. We have witnessed our traditional leaders attending traditional ceremonies of other traditional leaders across the country. It's a totally new phenomenon. Never happened before. It's happening now. In order to appreciate, I'm talking about magnitude. Before there will be 2 or 3 attending. Now you have 60, 70 attending each other's ceremonies across the country. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's all there. It's all there, Madam Speaker. It's not a matter of hearsay. It's there. Last week it was there in Nkwala. We were all there. 70 local chiefs were there, 70 plus. Big number, big number. In order to appreciate different cultures, this is the way the country must be. And we're doing this deliberately, intentionally, so that we can make Zambians understand the value each one of them brings to the table. Very deliberate. This is in the spirit of one Zambia, one nation, and indeed, truly, one people. Madam Speaker, it is the aspirations of the Zambian people to live as one in peace, harmony, and indeed unity. Unity is essential as an ingredient towards the developmental agenda, Madam Speaker. This administration will continue with our policy of zero tolerance to political violence, to hate speech, Madam Speaker, intolerant to political violence, to hate speech, to negative cadreism. These are vices. These vices have no space in our society. And all of us here and outside of this house today must make it personal that anyone conducting themselves in this way must be taught in their eyes and straight. Anyone. So, our society has no space for such conduct. Not now, not tomorrow, not in future. Democracy and constitutionalism. Madam Speaker, our administration is resolved to enhance and protect human rights. We are promoting and protecting freedoms of speech. Madam Speaker, this person speaking here is a daily victim. But we have no issue. That's the right citizens have. We keep our eyes on the ball. That's our job. Madam Speaker, I want to repeat, we are promoting and protecting freedoms of speech, assembly, media, and universal suffrage. Madam Speaker, citizens, political actors, civil society organizations, and religious organizations, as well as defenders and advocates of human rights, are basically conducting their business all over the country in the manner they wish. As long as they do it within the confines of the law. Freedom of expression, Madam Speaker, is important. Unlike before, I am proudly saying here, no media house has been shut down under this government. Not a single one, Madam Speaker, unless they've just failed to run their business from the commercial side. We should, however, be mindful, Madam Speaker, that where one's freedom ends, another person's freedom starts. Very important. Let us therefore be responsible in exercising our freedoms in order to maintain the peace, harmony, and unity which our beautiful country is renowned for. I must say here, Madam Speaker, the country's reputation continues to improve globally, and we must exploit this as an opportunity and turn it into value, such as increased investment, so we can grow our economy more and more. As part of our transparency in the exercise of these freedoms, the UPND New Dawn administration voluntarily, Madam Speaker, invited the UN Rapporteur on freedom of expression and opinion. Madam Speaker, this is a rare phenomenon in the history of our country. Voluntary invitations to be assessed by international standards. We are actually among the few countries in the world that have willingly and opened ourselves to international scrutiny in this area. The rapporteur just concluded her work about 3 weeks ago. It's not long ago. So we are all confident that we will share her results transparently. We would have preferred for this transparent review mechanism to have been carried out during the past administrations as well, so that we could have created a benchmark. How was it then? How is it today? Madam Speaker, the media industry has continued to be an important tool of communication and information sharing. The liberal policies government has put in place have contributed to the expansion of the media industry in our country. We now have over 188 radio stations and 66 television stations across the country, largest number ever. Most of these media houses are privately owned, community owned, most of them. We urge all our radio and television stations and other media platforms across the country to be professional. To be professional, to be channels of the truth. Truth, promoting fairness, unity, and development. It's an obligation of any media house to conduct themselves in this manner. Short of this, damages society. Anything outside of this remit damages society, and that's not in anyone's interest. As part of our efforts to enhance access to information, government has launched the Zanish television channel and the Zamcom radio station. We encourage citizens to take advantage of the tax waiver. Please take advantage of the tax waiver on broadcasting equipment and establish radio and television stations, especially in rural areas. Please, members of parliament who are in the rural constituencies, encourage this to happen so that our communities can access information in real time for development, for decision making, for health reasons, and many, many other positives. So, Madam Speaker, we want to indicate that this sector too is important not just for information dissemination, but also for creating business opportunities and jobs. Very important in the remotest parts of our country. 1, 2, 5 jobs are very important because one of those jobs will look after 10 or so members of our community. So we want to encourage this to happen across the country. No restrictions anymore. Let's move. Madam Speaker, the right to vote is a cornerstone of our democracy. To this effect, government has continued to implementing continuous voter registration. Yes. 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 Yes, 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 yes. We have increased the number. Madam Speaker, we have increased the number of districts conducting continuous voter registration to 30. Numbers don't lie. From 0 to provincial centers, now to 30. They are there. Electoral Commission can provide those numbers, those centers to this House. I think it's important, Madam Speaker, that the Electoral Commission does that forthwith. No need to take time. So I was saying the registration centers have increased to 30 across the country. This is ahead of the upcoming mobile registration exercise. We know the limitations of these 30, so the mobile registration exercise is on the way. So, but currently, any member who is closer to these 30 points can register as a voter. Very important, very important. We encourage our youth who have attained the voting age of 18 years to register and exercise their right to vote. After all, they are the true owners of this country by virtue of their young age. They have more years ahead in life. Madam Speaker, since our address to this August House in March last year, a number of by-elections have been held at ward, council, chairperson, mayor, and constituency levels. These elections were generally peaceful. A clear departure. Madam Speaker, these elections were generally peaceful. A clear departure from the violence of the past. As a matter of fact, Madam Speaker, due to the peaceful nature of the elections, most citizens sometimes are unaware of by-elections taking place. We were encouraged seeing political competitors interacting and sharing political platforms on the ground across the country. This is a clear demonstration of how far Zambia has come. Anyone who would have visited this country 4 years ago and now does not even need to raise a question. We urge all our political actors to be civil in their language. Please be civil in your language. Ugly things start from the language, how we speak to each other. Let us be civil in our languages. Let us abide by the Electoral Code of Conduct. We are one people, Madam Speaker. Even when we compete in elections, we remain one people. After elections, we go back to the same homes and share meals together. That's the way it should be. Politics, Madam Speaker, must not divide us. They must not divide us at all. Let us use politics to drive development and build bridges towards each other. To reach out to each other is a human phenomenon. In the animal race, Madam Speaker, the human being has an extra art of excessive communication, interaction, and that distinguishes from other species. So we're a civilized species. To reach out to each other is important. To compete in ideas is important, rather than to promote hate and division. No. Human dignity, equity, social justice, equality, and non-discrimination. Madam Speaker, government remains committed to upholding human rights, of course, dignity, equity, social justice, equality, and non-discrimination. These principles are fundamental in fostering peace, unity, and social-economic development in our beloved country. Through our flagship program, the Enhanced Constituency Development Fund, CDF, now standing at 36.1 million kwacha per constituency, per year. Very important. So we define it correctly. 36.1 million kwacha per constituency per year in all the 156 constituencies. Our people have been offered a new lease of life. Across the country, there is a clear transformation of local communities and improvement in the livelihoods of our people. This was our intention of introducing this tool, this mechanism. without segregation. Madam Speaker, I want to thank the Minister of Finance here. When we distribute staggered CDF releases, they are done to all the constituencies on the same day, in equal amounts. This is not normal 4 years ago. We are constructing schools, health facilities, maternity annexes, police stations, rehabilitating feeder roads. We are constructing market shelters, from ramshackles to decent market shelters. Crossing points, water crossing points, canals, deep tanks, water points for human-animal consumption. Facilities are many being constructed across the country simultaneously, at the same time. And these are only a few I'm mentioning. Madam Speaker, the first time in the history of our country, we have a constituents police vehicle, constituents. We have a constituents developmental projects monitoring vehicle. Now we have an ambulance at a constituents level. What does that mean to quality of life? Very clear. Very clear. Very clear. Madam Speaker, this is what we can simply define development at the national level. CDF is touching many lives, transforming our communities, addressing developmental inequalities. CDF is indeed a game changer. We are restoring the integrity, the dignity of our citizens, particularly in rural areas and peri-urban areas. Go to a chief's palace today, you will see that you are arriving at a palace. CDF, big change across the country. In order to improve distribution, Madam Speaker, I need the House's attention here. In order to improve distribution and delivery of resources equitably and fairly to communities across the country, there will be needs to delimitate or subdivide overly large constituencies. Madam Speaker, this is a popular subject. Some constituencies are like small countries. Some constituencies have so many people. CDF distributed equally, but there's a bit of inequity. So we can address this inequity through this proposal. So we want to indicate once more, in order to improve distribution and deliver resources equitably and fairly across the communities, there will be a need to delimitate or subdivide overly large constituencies by geography and by population. Madam Speaker, we are aware that some of these MPs, Madam Speaker, we are aware that some of these MPs struggle to reach one corner of their constituency. It's unfair. It's inequitous. That's why we are proposing this. But we know that this will require constitutional amendment. And this House is the one with a legal obligation to achieve that. Madam Speaker, do I hear consensus on this matter? Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to thank all the members of Parliament for being progressive. Madam Speaker, let us make progress. We urge the civil society, religious bodies, to understand this issue. I know there are mixed feelings, but we urge them to understand this issue. Service delivery to the people must take account of these factors: distance, population. We know that there are some with negative views about this issue. I think we should move together as a nation. Thank you. We urge all our community members, ordinary citizens, Madam Speaker, to demand effective utilization of CDF funds. The population must be demanding, must pay attention to how this money is being utilized for their benefit. MPs, you must reach out to everybody. No segregation. Even those who didn't vote for you, you know there's a ward or polling station that didn't vote for you. Take development there. Take development there. Because that's a right those citizens have, to have chosen who they wanted during an election. But once the elections are over, we deliver development to all. That's our obligation. So I'm asking citizens to also be active. It takes two to tango. Citizens might express their needs, and they have the opportunity to do that through the various committees in the constituencies. Madam Speaker, there is no longer any excuse for elected officials like these in this House to neglect their constituencies. There's no justification and there's no excuse, as they are not relying on their meager resources as it was in the past. Now they have this enhanced CDF. Please deliver for the people in your constituencies. Madam Speaker, I must say, on a more serious point here, a deliberate failure to utilize CDF funds should be considered as an act of economic sabotage, particularly against the less privileged in our country, who are experiencing positive changes in their communities. If you sit on this money because you know that the Minister of Finance will not claim it back, you are practicing economic sabotage. And mechanisms are being put in place, Madam Speaker, that no MP will have a right to delay development because they feel the government in place is not what they voted for. Once you are voted for, we are one, we work to deliver for the people of Zambia. Finish. Madam Speaker, I am saying we are looking at mechanisms to obligate such members of parliament to deliver services to the people. Otherwise, we will apply sanctions. And there's a way you apply sanctions in a civilized society. Yes. 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 Madam Speaker, to improve the welfare and livelihoods of the less privileged in our communities, government has been implementing a number of social protection programs. These include the Farmer Input Support Program, FISIP, social cash transfer, ordinary, social cash transfer, enhanced food security pack, public welfare assistance, and the most popular, cash for work. The programs are being implemented in an equitable and non-discriminatory manner, countrywide. Again, they are constituents-based. That's the beauty of decentralization. And I think we should cherish it and grow it even more. Together, we are building a more just, a more equitable, and a more prosperous country. Madam Speaker, to ensure that our people live in sanitary environments, government has expanded the water supply networks. We have constructed and rehabilitated water boreholes benefiting over 4 million people across the length and breadth of our country over a 3-year period. In addition, government has extended sanitation facilities networks, achieving 73.6% urban sanitation coverage. Under CDF, 2,352 water, sanitation, and hygiene facilities have so far been constructed in schools, health facilities, markets, bus stations, the notorious bus stations. Once notorious bus stations, I must correct myself, once notorious bus stations, and in communities across the country. We remain resolute, Madam Speaker, in ensuring that every citizen has access to clean and safe drinking water, as well as improved sanitation. Very, very committed to this. Madam Speaker, our free education policy is bearing fruit. Many more of our children, regardless of their background, are accessing education. I'm here, Madam Speaker, to speak numbers. Over 2 million learners have gone back to school in the past 3 years since we brought back free education in our country. This is giving them, the children, and even adults, some, a better chance to succeed in life. Madam Speaker, this policy has motivated some of our citizens, including aged ones. For example, let us welcome our 42-year-old female pupil, Dorothy Kamanisha, from Solwezi, who has gone back to school. She has gone back to school at 42 years old. She is in grade 9. Madam Speaker, let me complete this point. She has gone back to school at age 42 to take advantage of the free education policy. She has come with her head teacher, Crispin Mumena, of Rodwell Mwepu Day Secondary School. Where are they? Where are they? There they are. Where is Dorothy? Wave your hand. Where is our Mumena? Vyepi mwane? Kwasant. You may take your seats. Thank you very much. Madam Speaker, I think it's important that we give Dorothy and the teacher a loud hand of applause to them. Madam Speaker, the message here is that many more of such people like Dorothy are all over the country. And we must be proud of that as a people, without exception. We must be proud of that. Our belief, Madam Speaker, is that no Zambian should be deprived of education. In our view, Madam Speaker, in our view, education is the best investment, inheritance, and equalizer across society. Many of us in this House, Madam Speaker, did not get anything other than education. And that's what brought us in this House. I can talk of myself, that is what brought me into this chair, to be the servant of the people. Just education, nothing else. We want to see many more children of our country have this opportunity that we here have had. This is a serious issue. Education is the best investment, inheritance, and equalizer. Further, Madam Speaker, we have also continued to improve the learning environment. It's not enough to introduce free education, but we need and we have been improving the learning environment. We are providing school desks, constructing and upgrading classrooms, recruiting more teachers to improve the teacher-learner ratio. And the grades have shown that. Congratulations, Minister of Education. The grades have shown an improvement in the last year because of these changes. Some thought that free education would degrade our quality of education. Numbers don't lie. More kids have done well in school in the last year. Test of the pudding is in the eating. There you are. Further, in 2024, the total number of vulnerable learners benefiting from the homegrown, I beg your pardon. Further, in 2024, the total number of vulnerable learners benefiting from the homegrown school meals program, school feeding program, has more than doubled, from 2.2 million to 4.7 million learners are now on the school feeding program, Madam Speaker. No wonder the results have improved. Additionally, the district coverage increased from 82 districts in 2023 to 106 districts in 2024. This is truly commendable. Madam Speaker, to ensure equity in the provision of health services, government has continued to recruit health workers. In 2024 alone, a total of 4,216 additional health workers were recruited. As you know, Madam Speaker, we've been recruiting year in, year out. This is just for 2024. This is commendable, really. Improving health service delivery to all our people. Further, we are bringing health services closer to our people through construction of health facilities under the CDF. For instance, 142 maternity annexes. Madam Speaker, you will remember that in this House, I came to announce a few years back that every health facility must have a maternity annex with running water so we can protect the mother and child, saving their lives. This is happening, Madam Speaker. And I'm here to say, for instance, 142 maternity annexes, 269 health posts, 157 houses for staff, medical staff, have so far been constructed. Madam Speaker, this your government is walking the talk. While essential drugs have been available in primary health care institutions, the flow of specialized drugs, Madam Speaker, requires improvement, we want to admit. We are happy to report that contracts have been signed for the Cancer Disease Hospital to avail new radiology equipment for radiotherapy treatment in our country. I want to say, Madam Speaker, here that the cancer is becoming a serious problem in our country. And we must work together, this House must work together to allocate more resources towards cancer treatment. And I will not let the cat off the bag, Madam Speaker. I may have good news in a month or so to announce to the nation in this area. I will do it at the appropriate time. Thank you. Madam Speaker, the UPND administration is promoting a decent work agenda in the country. In this regard, we revise upwards the minimum wage and conditions of employment for domestic, shop, and general workers, as well as bus and truck drivers. Thank you, Minister of Labor. Madam Speaker, access to justice is a basic principle of the rule of law. To enhance access to legal representation by our people, for our people, the Legal Aid Board opened district offices in Kaoma, in Porokoso, in Lundazi, in Zambezi, and Kawamba in 2024. So our people can access legal services closer to where they are. This is a continuing process, Madam Speaker. The number of citizens who receive legal assistance countrywide increased from 31,556 in 2023 to 45,305 in 2024. To enhance access to quick and fair justice, Madam Speaker, we have recruited additional magistrates and judges and introduced further mobile courts in rural areas. We have established specialized fast-track courts, strengthened juvenile courts, and rolled out the digital case management system. As you know, Madam Speaker, case record management has been poor in this country for many years. and sometimes justice is delayed because the file is missing. We don't want that. No one wants that. Anyone who has experienced delays, adjournments in court understands what I'm talking about. I'm one of those. Madam Speaker, overcrowding in correctional facilities is progressively being addressed. We completed the construction of 2 modern correctional facilities in Muchinga and Central Provinces, creating an additional 1,000 bed spaces. This is not enough, Madam Speaker. More needs to be done. We totally agree. And we have to work towards increasing improved facilities in this area. We have converted one of, Madam Speaker, I need utmost attention here. We have converted one of the corruption-related repossessed properties into a correctional facility. And we are calling it the Diana Nalupia Center for Circumstantial Children, to house, Madam Speaker, female inmates with their children, and to ensure that, so we can ensure that these children live in conducive environments while their mothers are serving sentences. We were detaining children who never committed crimes simply because their mothers are in detention or serving sentences. It is not correct. I saw it for myself, and we made a decision that we would take these women out of the ordinary correctional centers and put them in decent homes, yet they are in custody. It has now been implemented, Madam Speaker. I'm here to report that. So we can raise our children properly in these environments. Any parent should appreciate this situation. Good governance and integrity, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, in today's fast-paced world, citizens are increasingly expecting immediate access to services. Our citizens are also expecting transparency and direct engagement with their governments. Our citizens are seeking more accessible, efficient, and responsible channels to voice their concerns and provide feedback to government. In this regard, Madam Speaker, government has launched the Citizen Support Services Portal. The portal is fostering real-time engagement between citizens and their government. Further, we have increased the number of electronic services available on the government service bus from 300 in 2023 to 321 in 2024. We need to do more, Madam Speaker, in this area. We are increasing access to and improving efficiency in the delivery of public services. Madam Speaker, we remain resolved to decentralizing public service delivery to the last mile. We are therefore happy to report that 5 additional functions have now been devolved to local authorities. These are, so we are specific, district agriculture services, district livestock services, district fisheries services, district community development services, and district social welfare services to the country. Again, Madam Speaker, MPs, please pay attention to these services because you are the face of our communities in these areas. And as we take you back to the council, as you take yourselves back to the council, because you will be the deciders, please pay attention to these services. This has been devolved to you now, and help in ensuring that services are being delivered to our people. Madam Speaker, this brings the number of functions devolved from central government to local authorities so far to 13. Therefore, it is true to say we are empowering communities. We're taking decision-making to our people in the provinces, in the districts, in the constituencies across the country. Madam Speaker, in our quest to uphold our national values and principles, we are governing the country on the basis of the rule of law. We will ensure that our governance and oversight institutions continue to operate independently and autonomously. Madam Speaker, the fight against corruption is yielding results. I sat here a year or so and there were doubts, but I'm here to say the fight against corruption is yielding results. We are now witnessing acquittals and convictions, and those found guilty are serving sentences. Unfortunately, this is the rule of law. Unfortunately. As an additional measure, Madam Speaker, I am aware of the debate that was raging in the country about what I'm about to say. But as an additional measure, side by side with prosecution, we are also recovering tainted assets and restoring them back to the rightful owners, the Zambian people. Earlier, Madam Speaker, I gave you an example of a property which is now housing inmates, female inmates with children. This is what we are doing. This is the benefit of what we are doing to society. The government, Madam Speaker, is fully committed. In addition to prosecution, asset recovery, we are committed to fully implementing alternative dispute resolution mechanisms. In short, ADR. These mechanisms will assist us to be more efficient, more effective, as also expediting the resolution of crimes and corruption-related cases. I want to urge the people of Zambia to take advantage of the alternative dispute resolution mechanism in solving problems. I know many countries around the world that are using ADR effectively. We are learning. We would like to apply this as well so that we can resolve issues faster and sometimes in a more holistic way because we have engaged each other. The ones who have committed the crime and the victims of crime. Put together, I think reconciliation may happen in society. So I'm asking citizens to take advantage of this opportunity. Madam Speaker, by integrating ADR methods such as mediation, negotiation, the government aims to enhance judicial efficiency, reduce case loads, backlogs, and ensure swift justice while upholding principles of accountability and transparency. Very important. This approach aligns with international best practices in combating corruption and reinforces the government's dedication to strengthening the rule of law and promoting good governance in our country. The fight against corruption continues in a non-selective manner. We will fight past, present, and future corruption. We are encouraged by the recent Transparency International Corruption Perception Index score, which has improved first time since 2013. Since 2013, the country has been declining in the assessment. Now we are on the up. We have improved from 37 in 2023 to 39. Remember, I've said since 2013, downhill. Since 2021, 2022, uphill. And we continue to gain. Improved from 37 in 2023 to 39 in 2024. Further, Zambia improved on the global ranking from 98 in 2023 to 92 out of 180 countries in 2024. Madam Speaker, I'm the first one to say that we can do more, and we should do more. Sustainable development. Madam Speaker, in our pursuit of economic prosperity, sustainable development, it is imperative that we work as a team. We work as a country. We work together, I repeat. This is even more critical in the work of the devastating impact of climate change. Climate change has threatened our national food security, energy, and water securities as well as our biodiversity. Indeed, climate change has disrupted our development efforts and has highly contributed to the increased cost of living. Notwithstanding the disruption, we are seizing the opportunity, Madam Speaker, presented by the climate change to adopt alternative solutions to improve our resiliency as a country. Every coin has two sides, Madam Speaker. We like to see it that way. Problems or challenges on one side, opportunities on the other. And we need to maximize on the opportunities to ameliorate the negatives. Following the West drought, as I said earlier in living memory, we experienced last season the improved rainfall in the past 3 months, Madam Speaker, will positively impact the cost of living as we produce more food than before, than last year at least. We salute our gallant farmers who have answered the call to grow more food despite uncertain times. Despite the discouragement of the drought, we called on farmers to plant, they planted. So far, the crop is looking very good across the country. Even in the constituents of my friend I'm looking over there, he's even grown maize now. Kanchivia. 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 We are harvesting water, Madam Speaker. Enditam Kwai. Madam Speaker, I'm just agreeing. Enditam Kwai. Yes. We are harvesting water, Madam Speaker, by constructing and rehabilitating dams across the country, especially in the drier provinces of our country. And this will enable the country to basically generate water through this water harvest to allow our people to engage in all year-round agriculture activities through irrigation. Madam Speaker, I will remember that on this table, I said I will no longer go to planting seasons across the country because every month is a planting season, every month is a harvest season. And this is what will allow us to achieve that. We are on the road towards that. Food self-sufficiency, surplus. So we can take care of those that may not be able to be privileged like us in terms of water and good soils. Madam Speaker, this is in line with the rainwater harvesting strategy which we launched last year. Madam Speaker, to mitigate the effects of climate change and deforestation, government has created an enabling environment for investment in alternative sources of energy. We introduced tax incentives, Madam Speaker, to encourage our citizens to invest in alternative energy equipment such as solar technology. And we are on the road, very, very positive road in this direction. We'll be able to report to the House, Madam Speaker, next year we have good news that is coming. We see where we are going. We decided to go that way. The results are showing. Government, through the Rural Electrification Authority, REA, has bridged the electricity gap between rural and urban areas by spearheading programs aimed at electrifying rural communities in an equitable and indeed sustainable manner. Madam Speaker, for example, we commissioned the Mpidi solar mini grid. Honorable Kambita, Mpidi solar mini grid in Zambezi Idris. The 640 kilowatt Kasanjiku mini hydro power station in Mwinlunga. Such projects are providing electricity, Madam Speaker, to households, schools, chiefs' palaces, health facilities, agriculture centers, and local courts in communities that have never had any access to electricity since independence. This is happening, Madam Speaker, and it's a humbling experience when you speak to beneficiaries of these facilities. Hear what they say. One medical staff, I visited, commissioned such a station, a couple of kilowatts, Madam Speaker. She explained how, at the point of delivering women who are pregnant, she used to use a light from her phone, to help the mother deliver. Now, she's doing it in broad light. It is humbling. And I want to encourage members of Parliament, please invest more in solar energy in your communities as part of the CDF usage of the resources. You will be amazed the satisfaction, the improvement in the quality of life, water, sanitation, and indeed productivity in the local areas through irrigation. That's my encouragement. Madam Speaker, fuel is a critical driver of economic activity. In recognition of its strategic importance, the government remains committed to securing competitive price fuel from the global markets to lower costs and support sustainable economic growth and stability. Madam Speaker, illegal mining is a menace that we are determined to stamp out, as it damages our environment, puts lives of our young people at risk. Illegal mining. Unsafe mining methods. We have lost a few people over years, and we should not allow this to continue. Therefore, we will clamp down on illegal mining, irrespective of location. This country does not want to hear someone saying, this is my mineral, I mine it the way I want. These are natural resources of the country. Simple and straight. And the law must apply. And when people refuse to respect the law, they will be forced to obligate themselves to the law. For good reasons, as I have said. We need the mining resources to help fuel growth in our economy. Simple. Madam Speaker, our interventions to formalize artisanal mining through fair price capital, provision of fair price capital, enhanced technology, joint ventures, and value addition will ensure a vibrant formal mining sector, not informal, which is at the heart of our development and growth agenda. Madam Speaker, our buzzword going forward, having achieved debt relief, debt restructuring, not relief, very difficult, mission impossible, having revived the mines, investing in energy, and our buzzword now is economic growth, and more growth. For what, Madam Speaker? For jobs, for business opportunities, for treasury income, so we can look after the sick, the young, the old, the retired, those who live with disabilities. That's the way it is, Madam Speaker. No government retiree is queuing at the Ministry of Finance since we took office. We have cleared, Madam Speaker, a 20-year backlog. We can only do that through economic growth, generating revenue. This is the buzzword, and I ask this House, we must sing this chorus. Economic growth, and more growth for the benefits that I've just articulated. Madam Speaker, we are pleased to note that over 1.1 million farmers have adopted smart agriculture technologies in 2024. We urge more of our farmers, especially small-scale farmers, to adopt smart agriculture practices to enhance productivity and to help mitigate the negative effects of climate change. Madam Speaker, proper management of waste is another important aspect of sustainable development. We are concerned with the littering and indiscriminate disposal of plastics and other waste materials in our communities by citizens, by businesses. This is not acceptable. You walk on the roads, somebody is throwing litter outside of their car window. Why not keep that litter in the car? When you reach home, take it out, throw it in the bin. This is responsibility at a personal level. You clean today, tomorrow they are littering again. Then they complain. Then cholera comes. Then the cost is high. We shouldn't be doing things like that as a nation. Again, local authorities. It starts in the family, in the communities, in the constituencies. Let's take responsibility right there. Right there. I know there are some laws we need to change around plastics because it's damaging our environment, in fact, even destroying livestock. So let us work together, colleagues, in this area. Madam Speaker, in this area of general cleanliness, hygiene, where is our collective sense of responsibility? Where has it gone? Where? Who is going to bring it back? It is us. It's not anybody else, it's us. Responsibility at a personal level. We have bylaws, yes, but as individual citizens, we have a responsibility to keep our environment clean. We must keep Zambia clean, green, safe, and healthy. As I conclude, Madam Chair, Speaker, Madam Speaker, as I conclude, Madam Speaker, I see the House is in its right frame of mind today. Madam Speaker, I will not say it, but I know the reason. Madam Speaker, I just want the House to know that when and every time we work together, we can achieve more things. And there will be more good things that will be achieved. And shortly, Madam Speaker, this House will be debating issues that will bring more good news for yourselves, but more importantly, for the 20 million citizens. Madam Speaker, as I conclude, as demonstrated above, we have made progress in the application of our national values and principles and strengthened the pillars of our democracy and constitutionalism. Very important. We have pursued good governance and integrity such that citizens now enjoy more freedoms and greater participation in governance and a more conducive or inclusive, if I may say conducive, and inclusive society through our decentralization programs that had stalled for many years, Mr. Speaker, but we have put fuel to the momentum of decentralization, as we have seen from our message today. We want our local people to take decisions that best serves them than someone in Lusaka making decisions about Kashinakashi, about Kambombo, about Shangombo, which they know little about. This is the intention of these decisions. Madam Speaker, if I ask many of citizens here who knows Shisekano, very few. But how can you make decisions about those people without knowing the environment and circumstances there? This is why this policy of decentralization is very important. Madam Speaker, let me say issues around decentralization, around environment, around resilience building must take a lot more of our time going forward. We need people at a lower level to contribute to economic activity, no matter how small it is. We need to create jobs at that lowest point, and it will be felt much more than the factories in Lusaka. I wish to say, Madam Speaker, the journey is far, but we're walking, we're resting there. It's not an event, it's a process. We're far from reaching our destination, but we'll get there. The progress we have made is part of the foundation upon which we must build a better Zambia. This is the foundation upon which our peace, unity, and prosperity must be forever anchored on. The journey requires our determination, passion. I say so, Madam Speaker, passion, from little experience, passion, mindset, attitude, are very important. Courage. Courage, just sheer courage. It's important. Defeat starts with the mind, not the body. It starts with the mind. And that's the Zambia I would like us to see, all of us, across the country. With focus, Madam Speaker, progressively we will get there. We remain vigilant and committed to upholding national values and principles in every aspect of our national affairs. We will continue to promote morality and ethics in our conduct. Morality and ethics in our conduct. We will continue to adapt our nation's capability to respond to adversity, including the effects of climate change. No one needs to be taught what we went through just a few months ago. We haven't recovered yet. And I'm aware one of us was calling for a declaration of a disaster. Madam Speaker, this president maintained the declaration of disaster and emergency. It's still applying. How can we declare a disaster on top of a declaration already? It's there. It's not possible. So please, we are not out of the woods. We need to build resilience. We need to be prepared so that next time, with or without rain, we'll have electricity. With or without rain, we'll have food through irrigation. This is my call. This is our call to the country. Madam Speaker, we need the commitment and positive action from all citizens. Every effort counts. Every effort counts. With hard work, unity, and patriotism, we shall triumph. Living by our national values and principles is a daily obligation. It's not a lecture. It's not a sermon. It's not a presentation either. It's not the president's speech. It's a daily obligation. It is our duty. It is what we should be living by. It is what is supposed to be normal, not the other way around. We must uphold our values and principles. After all, we devised them ourselves. They were not handed over to us by anybody outside of this country. It's us who generated them because we believe in them. Madam Speaker, we must all become patriotic citizens of high values and principles in public and in private. Some of us think we can get away with negative behavior in private. But one of the Zambian languages will tell you that this desk has ears and eyes. Even in privacy, you will be seen if you are not conducting yourselves properly. Leaders must conduct ourselves properly at all times. We're examples to the community. We're examples to young people. Madam Speaker, I follow what people even in this house do in their private lives. As you follow what I do, we must conduct ourselves properly. Madam Speaker, let our national values and principles inspire us to build a future worth of generations to come. Let us all commit to accomplish more and better, not just by quantums, but by value, quality of what we do, Madam Speaker. We can only do this if we love our country, if we love each other, irrespective of ruling party opposition. This is one house here. We're one house. And when we behave and act like that, the country will emulate us and we'll be in a better space. We should be good citizens. We should be willing to sacrifice, Madam Speaker, for the sake of Mother Zambia. A Zambia free of discrimination, gender-based violence, teenage pregnancy, corruption, and cyber crimes, Madam Speaker, and bullying is attainable. Members of Parliament, what we are saying here is attainable if we want to achieve these things. But pretense does not get us anywhere. A prosperous Zambia anchored on our national values and principles is truly achievable. May God bless us all. May God bless our beautiful country, Zambia. Madam Speaker, I beg to move.